Hi. I'm sure glad you're here with me this day to share some news. God may not be who you think God is. God may not be what you thought God is. God may not be God. And you are the judge. You are the one. No one else can tell you what to believe for you to believe it. Oh, they can try. Many people will tell you what to believe, but they can't control your motive. That which exists below the cellular level. The heart of one who wants to know love will find it, because love is not silent. But God is always just out of reach, a little mysterious, wanting to maintain some mystique and control. My name is Theodore Cottingham. Theodore Cottingham. And I have a website, I have a school, TheodoreCottingham.com, a school of leadership for you to lead you, to learn to lead you out of everything we've been taught, everything we've participated in teaching about God. Because I submit to you, God is not righteous. God of the Bible, God that we know, God that we've grown up with, God that we've damned or surrendered to, worshiped all of our lives, prostrated ourselves, spent thousands of hours praying, kneeling, studying what millions call His Word, that should have never been canonized. That was never the heart of love, for anything to be canonized. Never. How do I know this? Because I sought God, and God answered me, not with a voice, but a stream of energy, some type of communication, not dependent upon syllables, that came and ministered to me, broke bread with me, met me in many meetings, shared our presence together to enlighten, to impart, not to embellish, not to imbue, but to transmit the seed. The seed. Transmit the seed of God, the seed of the Word. I've taught many times about the Word is the seed. Remember Jesus' parable? The Word is the seed. And I've taught many times about love. And increasingly in recent months, and this year, I've taught the difference between God and the Lord God, the Genesis 1 creation versus the Genesis 2 creation. I've mentioned different Bible verses And for months now, I've taught about original love. Original love. Where is original love? Who's playing with our story that we have vested our lives into? Who's been talking? Who's been communicating? Who's imparting what to who? For what purpose and whose purpose? Are we here on this earth? Why are we here? You know, the answer that, well, God made us just doesn't cut it anymore. A God, a father, a mother, a parent that wants to hide knowledge from me is not who I will serve anymore. Hide knowledge from me? Want to maintain a mysterious nature and tell my kids I'm unknowable. I'm bigger than you are. Obey me. Remember, I'm jealous. I'm a jealous God. Oh, get away from me then. We have to grow up. It is time we know now that God is not God. It's cataclysmic, isn't it? It's cataclysmic to find out you've served God all your life and it's not who you think it is. How can that be? No, I can see so many people will want to simply tell me, get away from me, call me Satan, because they want to believe that they were right. They're not interested in finding out the truth. They even think they have the truth and the truth has made them free. They don't know what freedom is. If you don't know what freedom is and you have everything defined to you and told that every good thing comes from your Father above. Don't believe that for a second. But I did for decades. I was a devoted, devout, disciplined Christian. That because of my desperation, I became increasingly desperate. I wanted to know God. And I got tired of preachers preaching the same thing all over again. Preaching salvation, salvation, invite people to church, salvation, salvation, tithe, double honor. Calling that building we were in the house of God. I tell you, that's blasphemous. If there's any blasphemy, it's ludicrous, it's preposterous. Love does not exist. Love does not reside in a temple made with hands, a building made with hands. You see, we need to get some things straight. I'm not dilly-dallying around. I don't have time to do it. I'm not motivated to do it. I don't care if you curse me. Well, I care, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change my message or my motivation. I know what I am. I know who I am. Just like at one point Jesus said, I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. You see, I saw it. I'm 73 now, so I have a few decades behind me. I sought God. I wanted to know God. I wanted to know Jesus and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. I wanted to know what it meant in Revelation. It said Jesus, spirit of prophecy, Jesus. There were a lot of things I wanted to know about the Bible. I wanted to know. I don't want to just listen to somebody give me a canned answer that they got from a commentary, a sermon they bought online to preach this Sunday. And many do. And I've shared about my path multiple times as I began to have more and more questions, and God began to actually communicate with me. God. I call it God. See, I still call it God. This is still unfolding in me how the message has been warped, tainted, convoluted, how the message of God has enslaved us. You see, we thought it freed us. But where was the freedom? Where's the promise? My God shall supply all of your need according to his riches and glory. My goodness alive. There were times I thought, okay, a blessing came, a blessing, and equated a blessing with money. I didn't know what it was to serve God versus serving mammon. I don't think anybody does, hardly ever, because everything good, remember, the Bible says, comes from above, your heavenly Father, who arrays even the lilies of the field. How much more shall he care for you? He. Remember, God is, in the Christian Bible, always presented as a male. It's all about patriarchy. My friend, there's more to know. Patriarchy? Yeah. Me, God. Who you? I don't mean to make fun, but I'm saying there's so many metaphors, there's so many things to understand. The simple are crushed, ground up in a mill called Christianity, sitting in a pew. That I did. I was there. And at one point, I taught for several years. I taught it. I helped perpetuate the myth, the Bible. I thought I had a lot of answers. I prayed a lot. I knew what prayer was. In October of '88, I began going to early morning prayer an hour a day, 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. at a chapel near my house in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I didn't go every single day, but almost every weekday. It became my custom because I wanted to know. That began me on a path that I never anticipated. I can speak of different miracles. I can speak, and I've talked about different things. I've talked about worship music. I've talked about the role of worship music. But see, this path really began in earnest with a degree of seriousness and devotion and dedication. Only began in really October of '88. But I continued to quest. And in 1995, began going to Passion for Jesus seminars, conferences, Catch the Fire conferences, and all sorts of things. I wanted to know. I began to realize I didn't want to know God vicariously. I didn't want to know God. And I encourage you, don't just know God, have a relationship with God through your pastor, through a book, through Bible verses that comfort you, keep you comforted, complacent, saying the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. My friend, we are explorers. We are not hunter-gatherers subject to this food chain, nor are we at the top of this food chain, nor are we at the bottom. My friend, we are not molecular. And whoever and whatever it was that incarcerated me in this flesh suit did so out of a motive, not of love. God is not love. So where did this God is love come from? 1 John. So it's only mentioned, God is love. It's only mentioned, according to what I found, in 1 John. 2 references that God is love. So one speaker at one point in time said God is love, but God is not love. And I'll share with you some more Bible verses. Not that I'm a Bible preacher, a Bible teacher, but God, I did learn a lot about the Bible because I studied it. I was diligent. I was devoted. I was a disciple who wanted to present myself worthy because I knew at the end of my life I was going to be judged. I would stand before God. Fear, you see, fear is created. All of the God message rests on fear. Fear is the foundation of religion, not love. Know the difference. Are you willing to grow up? What is this, September the 1st of 2024? Are you ready? Are you ready to find out who you are? You see, our basic nature is to explore, not get stuck with one woman, get stuck with one man, get stuck with one body of flesh, get stuck in one city, one country. We are explorers because we are part of that original race before God was ever a God figure, a God subject. You see, as soon as we say, well, God told me, or God this, that, or the other, what preceded it? A nanosecond of separation. In your mind, you separated from what that is, so that you can say, that is not you, and that spoke to you, so that you have separate sentience. You have a separate mind, a separate brain, a separate being, that you're not the same. Whatever put me in flesh and caused me to suffer in flesh and you to suffer in flesh and flesh to be so brutal with each other is not God of love. There's no love there. And the purpose? If you think a loving God created us to have a relationship with his robots, you, my friend, have a lot to learn. You see, we can create robots that looks so realistic. Average people walking down the street wouldn't know the difference. Their skin, their ability to speak, their voice, even their answers. I am not subject to this flesh, and neither are you. But I would have said, but for years I said, I was born again. Well, what does that mean? What does it look like? How do I know? I went to the altar, I don't know how many hundred times, and how many more, hundreds of times. I said, God, forgive me. God, forgive me, forgive me. I sinned. What is a sin? Where did sin come from? Why is it a sin? Who's keeping record? My friend, love keeps no record of rights and wrong. If you're serving a God that ticks off every time you say a cuss word, every time you screw up, every time you did anything that's an infraction of somebody's rules, you may not be serving who you thought. Let's look at this a little closer. Because, see, I'm onto something. I'm onto the truth. And the truth will not make you free, my friend. The truth gives you the opportunity to grow the truth that love is. To not be mortal anymore. Your last enemy is death. What's the heart of love? How many times? Hundreds, I guess. I quote it right here on this broadcast, this teaching, this lesson. This is a lesson, if you haven't known it. This is a lesson. This is a school. I am a school. I school me. Me who? Me love. Me, our race. Our race is love, and our race is coming out of religion. And we will no longer serve God. We will no longer serve any God, and you will have no God before you if you really know who you are. God, the judge, the righteous judge. Judge, my friend, based on fear. You want to marry somebody that says, I'm the head of this marriage. You're to fear me and do what I say. You think love would tell you to be silent? Silent in the church? Silent anywhere? Who in the world would fabricate a story that woman came from man? Those who create their own story for their purpose. They fabricate disinformation and disseminate it with great authority. They're pompous asses. They walk around with collars and robes and assert their authority. Woman did not come from man. Just like God is not love. Just like the truth will not make you free. The truth gives you opportunity if you're willing to grow it. And friend, truth is a flow. It is not stagnant. Just like our nature is to explore and find more and more. And to never be stagnant like a pond. Love flows. Truth flows. And if you're stagnant, you've got a choice to make. If you love God. And I imagine many of you hearing this will shake your world. Let me tell you, everything is going to be shaken now. Everything in this world will be shaken. Principalities, rulers of whatever. Dynasties will die out now. no matter what they supported, what their philanthropy looked like. Because you know who's going to rule this world? The women who walk in love. This will no longer be a world of patriarchy. Patriarchy will not be served. That day is over. And I'm serving you. Notice I am here. A 73-year-old guy that simply wanted to know Jesus and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. And I told him over and over, I'll suffer. I'll do whatever. But I want to know you. I don't want to know through another person. And I had to decide what I believed over and over. And I decided, well, it certainly is a God. But I could call it a higher power. I could call it something. But I didn't think it was unknowable. My dad is not unknowable. If your dad is unknowable, I suggest you change dads. Change your source of your seed. The nature of God. I'll read you the nature of God in telling you, affirming, asserting, positing, proclaiming God is not God. The motive? In Exodus 20, verse 5. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. Jealousy? Come now. I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation. I would never do that. I stand in the gap so my kids won't make the mistakes I made. If they're willing to listen, if they're willing to learn from me, I will do anything so that they won't suffer like I did. You think I would, if they imparted any hurt or wound unto me, that I would remember it and send suffering to their children for generations? You see what I'm saying? God is not God. God is not love. The message of God is to serve, be a servant, be a follower. Beg, plead, intercede. Have faith. I defy your gods. I defy all of your God. I defy all of your gods. I defy all of your God. Hear me well. I stand in love, for love to be standing in my shoes, not separate. The voice of one no longer crying in the wilderness, begging people to read my book, read my lessons, share my life, drink my cup. The nature of God that is not love. This is not love. Exodus 34:14. For you shall worship no other God. For the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Take your jealousy and remove it from being around me. Jealousy is not of love. In love, there is a trust. In perfect love, there is no fear. There is no fear of you running off with somebody else or doing anything else. I don't own you in the first place, and they don't own me. There's no place for jealousy in love, not even tangentially. Deuteronomy 4:24, for the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. Deuteronomy 6, for the Lord your God in the midst is a jealous God, lest the anger of your Lord your God be kindled against you and destroy you from off the face of the earth. Anger! There is no anger in love. There is no anger. The angry, they don't realize what they're doing to themselves when they give in to anger. There's no place for anger. There's no place for anger. None whatsoever. There's no place for anger in my house, my place of refuge, my kingdom. Where is my kingdom? Because I wear the crown of me. You are the crowned one of you, if you will crown you with loving kindness, not with jealousy, not with ticking off every time somebody says, damn, hell, they had a drink. Oh, she's naked. Oh, the sky is falling. We haven't known the difference between God and love, but now we do. And it changes everything, for we will no more follow God of any name, of any manner, no matter what it says of itself, because it speaks and it affirms its presence in your life to keep you begging, praying, prostrate, the voices that demand to be heard. Love waits. Love is humble. Love bows before you. Do you hear me? Love bows before you. And those who walk about with hubris and their arrogance demand to be seated at the places most honored, supposedly the place of power, recognition. You will see a lot of changes now because I am here and I am my word. I am not this flesh man, though I speak through it. I am loving Two Shoes Cottingham, a flesh man, but I'm speaking through me. You see, I become one. I've learned who love is. I sought God, but love heard me. Through those years, love was listening. And love intertwined. Love spoke many times that I thought God was speaking, that I called it God. And there were many times, thousands, that I have been in conflict because unlove thrives in conflict. The very nature of unlove is conflict. Hierarchy, brutality. Nahum 1:2. The Lord is jealous and avenging God. The Lord is avenging. Wrathful. Wrathful. The nature of God is wrathful. Keeping record of right and wrong. Waiting till you die to judge you. If God created hell to make people suffer, I don't want any part of your God. I empty hell now. And you will no more be held here if you're me, because you will lead people out, beginning with you first. See what I have said. Love is one. One. O-N-E. One mind. One healing. Healing the healer. To all be the healer that heals all equally because you love them. No matter what tribe and tongue they're from, no matter what they look like, no matter what label they have worn in the past. I am Love and Two Shoes Cottingham, and this is my message. I call it Meonics. Because, see, if you want to know me, you become me. In your shoes, with your face, without any faith, but a willingness to learn who you are from within you, because the kingdom of God is inside of you. The unknowable God, it's an oxymoron. It doesn't exist. The kingdom of God is within you. Fight it not. You fight it with your faith as soon as you say it's somebody else. We are the original creation of love, loving love. Not needing your seed, not your sperm, and not your word. And we will no longer be dust incarcerated to this body, these ideas, or even this planet, because we are raising a people of light, not limited to your nomenclature, your diction and grammar, your syntax, your syllables, your language, for we are not restricted by it. This, my friend, is the real and true. Born again, being birthed again. Being birthed out of life, not waiting till you die, but being resurrected. Resurrected out of what? Out of death. The death that you walked in this life. The death that you are experiencing right now. The conflict in your soul. To even have a soul that generates the fabrication of all that we see and think we feel, because we are no longer limited to the two eyes, the two ears, our touch and feel, because we're no longer limited by the 5 sense mind. The 5 sense mind was created to serve that which was vengeful, wrathful, keeping a record of right and wrong, creating hell for all that don't serve. Any untamed AIs, any rogue robots will be punished forever into the lake of fire. When you want to know love, you will go in to the Holy of Holies, and there will be no curtain and no one will keep you out. No religion, no definition, no authority, because the Most Holy is within you, and no one can keep you out, and you will go in. I've referenced many movies over these years. I began channeling 21 years ago, and I've mentioned over 300 movies. I used to keep a list. I was very diligent in my study, my notes, my recordings. Have been. Would you believe I felt instructed to watch James Bond? Well, I enjoyed watching James Bond. I enjoy movies. They were entertaining. They were well done. And then at one point, I felt I was instructed to watch the first 10 in a row, which I thought was really, really strange at the time. So I did. Back then, they weren't just easily viewed on a streaming service. So I bought them. And I wondered why many times I felt instructed to watch James Bond. And one of the things, it seems so very, very simple to say this, but one of the main key that I take away from all that, and yes, I watched Dr. No last night, James Bond #1. You see, love will teach, and love will teach you through movies. Love will teach you through books and websites, no matter whether you think they're X-rated or not. We're no longer children, strangers in a strange land. We're growing up. We're growing out of the security blanket. We're no longer holding to the Santa Claus story. We're no longer looking for God to come solve all our problems, to arrive in the sky and set up His kingdom so that all will be prepared at a banquet table and we'll enjoy the feast of someone else having done everything for us. What did I get out of the James Bond? James Bond always went in. James Bond always goes in. Common people, common wisdom. You have an enemy. You fight it from the outside. James Bond somehow finds his way inside to defeat the enemy. You can defeat the enemy. I call you to defeat God. The God of wrath, the God that keeps a record of right and wrong. Defeat God, the God that visits whatever sins, mistakes you made to your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. My gosh, that is not love. We are now distinguishing the difference between love, original love, not sensuous love, not erotic love, agape love. Do we have to be spiritual? Do we even have to go to the Greek, the Hebrew, Do we have to go to the original tongues? There is a heart of love in you that if you are willing to go to access and walk into the holy place, you will find the love of you for you. And if you will learn to communicate with that love that is in you, that nobody else can extract, that perfect love casts out all fear to go into the Holy of Holies, because the Holy of Holies only exists one place between our ears of every nation, tribe, and tongue. No matter how affluent, how poor, how desperate, how intelligent or that life, the life of love, the life force of life itself, that tender love, nurturing love, communicating love is still there within you. And no one can take it from you, but all the words of man organized into religion sure will try. I've said a lot. I ask you to grow up. You wrestle not with flesh and blood. We have been permeated by theory, by principles, by rules, by laws that we ourselves promulgated and projected to all our people. But now this is changing. And it's not the times of Judge Roy Bean anymore. You will no longer put on a 10-star, set up your saloon, have your girls, and be your own law to yourself. I know what love is, and love is here. And I'm a gentle man. Love is not subject to your guns, your tanks, your bombs, your threats. Your authority has no power over me because I know it. I know what love is. I've met love. I've interceded with love for you. Who hear me? I'm not asking you to obey me. I don't ask you to follow me. Become me. My breath, my creation, the creation of the Creator, creates you now to be not subject to the creation that you are in at this moment. Let not your heart be troubled for all that you see going on in the world. Be love in your mirror. Be love in action. And all the damn list of right and wrong Burn, torch, destroy. Disengage from the memories of all that has tormented you. We're no longer carrying around that soul, that little tape recorder in our mind of all the hurts and wounds to play them again in the mind, tormenting the mind, the accuser, the beast. Unplug it. Unplug from religion. Unplug from what you've dedicated your life to. Yep. I'm asking you to look into your mirror and see, begin to see love in two shoes with your face, hearing your voice, and see yourself doing all the miracles that Jesus did and more. And you can only do them through love, by love, with the power of love, not the love of power. And those who love power will go their way. They will die out. There will be many a heart attack in the pulpit now. Hear me. People will hear this message far and wide. And it will go to the ends of the earth, and I blow on it. And I defy your religion and all of your gods to set my people free. And who are my people? Everyone who will no more have the tongue of shame. No more debasing each other, beginning with themselves first. For you are not made by an angry God, and you will not serve it unless you choose to. You can choose to set you free by your own word. Operated by, motivated by love, where you begin to know and realize it's cataclysmic. And dystopia will no more reign over you because the angels sing now. And you'll begin to sing with them. You'll begin to be connected with angels. Angels of light, not angels of separation. You'll hear many voices, and the more sensitive you become, the more you must learn to mature and know the difference. And give no place to that which is in you, which causes you despair. You take authority. You have authority to create. You have the authority to recreate you. You have the authority to walk on water, to heal the blind, to walk through a hospital and heal every person in it. Even if the administrator and owners are screaming at you because you're hurting their business. And those nations and those operators involved in sex trafficking, behold, the Lamb of God is powerless if you support that. But I tell you, God's lambs are not dumb anymore because God is not God. And the people that worship God may be in slavery to their belief, to the threat of safety, to a vengeful God, but the operators of light, the initiators of love, come to fruition, come to maturity now. And they are not powerless. And I'm telling you, you're going to see little old men and women, little women, 90 years old and more, get up out of their rocking chairs now because they study this message. And they begin to see, feel, and experience something within them. Lo and behold, the revelation brings revolution so that the decrepit will no more surrender to the grave. And those who walk in authority of religion will lay their laws down, and they will lay down their love for their robes, their collars, their rings, their authority. They will take their ordination certificates off of their wall and no longer value them. And their seminary degrees will be worthless. And they will realize they devoted their life, their study, their heart, not just to the wrong God, but that which enslaved them to be in flesh, to need flesh, to need a pharmacy, to need medicine, to need healing, to need money. We are going to a land, and that land is not molecular, and that land is not decimated by the molecular. It all begins with you. What will you do now? I suggest, I request, you actionate your love. You activate your love. Begin with questions. Pardon me. Activate your love. Begin to question your love. Question your love. Question your love for you, for each other. God, question your definitions. Begin to ask questions. Leaders are developed with questions. That's why I ask so many questions. I ask you to decide. I don't tell you what to believe, why, and how. I don't give you a list of rules. I give you the source documents of my source that I've had, both right and wrong, good and bad. Listening times. I really screwed up. You can search in there online, database 1. I call it my covenant with me, my covenant with me to be me, my covenant with love. Love produces a covenant, can be. Write yours. This is what this school is about, and I have a school, and my school is a school of leadership, not a school of begging. My school says, never kneel before God again. Though I did thousands of times. There's more to the story, but now we're not ignorant. So we begin to lay aside the basic principles of this world. No longer studying forgiveness of sins, resurrection from the dead. Yes, I know Hebrews. That's the message. Cataclysmic to many, Creators become creators now. No more studying law, but freeing the slaves of religion, freeing the slaves of every nation, tribe, and tongue. Women shall rule. Matriarchy will no longer perish. And the men who were fools, that wanted to continue to exert their hubris, their arrogance, their philosophy, with their influence, their positions of power, their philanthropy. Goodbye. And you who are ready to learn a new song, to live a new life, freed be in your love for each other. To love each other? Yes. Intensely, deliberately, with the intention to heal them. Healing love flowing. Because it's your nature. It's not your nature to be constrained anymore by the rule of law, your cultural conditioning. You're creating a new land. You're creating a new you. And you are an explorer. Be an adventurer. Let no one condition you to be created by unequals anymore. I love you, and my name is Theodore Cottingham. Share these words, please. Make an outline of this message. Do your own research. Do your own due diligence. Be diligent. Question all that I've said. And open to love. Open to love. Question these things. Open to love. Do your due diligence. Outline this. Listen to it again. Record it. Get a group together. Play 10 minutes of it and discuss it. Begin a fellowship group. A group. A fellowship group. A fellowship of one. Fellowship of what one? The original. Before God was ever something to be afraid of. Before God ever existed that said, serve me and only me shalt thou serve. I am a vengeful God, and all that rigmarole, visiting the sins to the third and fourth generation. Before any of that mess, there's no fear in perfect love. And if you're not experiencing perfect love, originate it. Be the creator of it, original love. Be the originator of original love. And live your original life now to the best and the full. And magnetic waves of authoritarians will no more put you in the injustice of their court. Because love is no more inseminated with injustice. Perfect love is no more inseminated with the authority of man. Hear me well, it's all changed. And I release the angels, and this is the planet of the angels. It will no longer be your dystopia that you rule with. Men, religionists. My name's Theodore. I'm a simple man in Eureka Springs, Arkansas for now. I go where I'm wanted. My words heal. Don't think I came to bring peace. I came to release love. Show you the difference, teach the difference, and ask you to be me, doing the same. Walking in your power, your authority, your grace, your beauty. Seeing the real you. The regal you. Prepared in light for this day. The day to act, the day to know, the day to become the real you. TheodoreCottingham.com. You can write me. You can bless me. I guess you can blast me, although I don't request it. My email is TheodoreEureka@gmail.com. I love you. Be the real you. Thank you for allowing me to share. Start a fellowship, my friend. Create a course. A course. Are you in a course? Are you in this school? If you're in this school, create a course. Call it what? Name it what you will. You see, you're no longer being taught as a child. You're no longer being required to read or write line by line, precept by precept. You are the creator. Now create you. Create a course. I ask you, create a course. Call it the school of you. Call it the school of me. Me being you. You being me. You being this message. Call it the school of learning, the unlearning. Call it whatever you wish. Create the message. And let law no more rule in you. Give love the key. Thank you again. Create a course. Outline. Share these words. Play them for other people. Be who you really are. Walk out of the territory that has confined you. Remove the fence post and all the gates of iron, and brass bars will no longer hold you. For you are no longer the temple made with hands anymore, limited to. You're out. Yay! Good day. Thank you again. Love all equally. See ya.